Turbo and 2K show.
What is up, 2K crew? Yes, it is that time of the week again. It is podcast time, and man, oh man, am I super excited about this one. It's kind of a weird episode because as you guys have followed us, not the biggest NBA fans, not the biggest NHL fans, but we are going to go over not only both drafts but free NBA free agency that started at 6 p.m. today, or supposedly did. We saw some moves earlier, so going to go over all of those as well as recap everything in the baseball world. We're watching finally we have a very good Sunday night baseball game. We have the Orioles and Rangers. Rangers are up 4-1. Runners on second and third, one out with Marcus Semien at the plate. Like I said, cannot wait to get into this one. For those of you that are watching over on our either YouTube, TikTok, what's up TikTok, Twitter, and our Facebook group, as well as the YouTube channel, thank you all for joining. Go ahead and hit the like, subscribe, follow, do all that good jazz. And if you're over on YouTube, hit the bell to make sure you get notified whenever we go live every Sunday at 8 p.m. And a big shout out to those on the audio side. Love seeing the download numbers be as steady as they are. So you guys and gals are the unsung heroes of the show, and I do want to give you guys a big shout out to, because like I said, honestly, the audio numbers pale in comparison to even if we added up all of the other accounts, the audio downloads dominate. So I definitely don't give them enough credit. But let's jump into the news here real quick, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, this is it's been kind of a wild week. I mean, like I said, we've had both the NBA and the NFL, or NBA and NHL drafts, and I think let's be honest, Bronny stole the show. Even though he was drafted in the second round, we all knew where he was going to go, which we will get into here in a little bit. But yeah, I have no idea who a lot of these people are that got drafted. So we're going to go over it. We're going to dive into it. And we are going to dive into, like I said, the NBA free agency. But I did want to touch on a couple things here. I did mention it to our TikTok crew earlier. Hawk Tuah Girl has been spotted in Nashville. I believe, I cannot remember which concert she was spotted, or maybe it was Zach Bryant, maybe, correct me on that if I'm wrong. But yeah, he invited her up on stage, so she has been spotted. She has been confirmed that she does at least hang out in Nashville. But like I was telling the TikTok crew before we started, man, it would be nice if we could actually call her by her name instead of Hawk Tuah Girl. I mean, come on. I mean, if her name was like Stacy or something, I would much prefer to call her Stacy than Hawk Tuah Girl. I mean, she's more than that. Let's put it that way. But speaking of her, this is a tweet from Michelle. 8 more weeks until the first Hawk Tuah poster appears on College Game Day. And yes, that. I didn't even think about that, but she is totally correct. We are 8 weeks away from college football getting started. I cannot wait. It is good. It's granted, I do not want to wish the summer away. Don't get me wrong, but it's always that much. It's fall is my favorite time of year. I'm a chubby guy. Summertime is awesome, but sweating is not. Especially when it's that hot. I really don't like that. So give me the fall any day. We've got college football, NFL football, MLB season going into the postseason. So always my favorite time of year. And throw into that, it's my birthday. It's my birthday in the fall. So yeah, cannot. Speaking of birthdays, this one will make you feel old. This is a tweet from Baseball's Greatest Moments when Roger Dorn and Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn reunited. It's a picture of them in 1989 during the iconic film Major League, and a quote and a photo on the bottom of them today. That'll make you scratch your head. Major League was put out in 1989. I still watch it, by the way. Still love that movie. Cannot stand to watch that movie on regular TV because they do swear a lot. And this was one of the first movies that my parents really let me watch that sweared a lot. So it definitely holds a special place in my heart. But yes, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of time in between those pictures. And kind of another cool thing here. This is a tweet from Baseball History Nut. Randy Johnson and Nolan Ryan. Randy Johnson is standing next to Nolan Ryan. And if you're anything like me, when growing up watching baseball, you always thought that Nolan Ryan was like this larger than life guy, this larger than life character, and he was. But he pales in comparison with standing next to Randy Johnson, because Randy Johnson is the big unit for a reason. So yeah, that is just insane. And so some other news coming out of the Twitter sphere. Yes, I will keep referring to it as Twitter, not X. Sauce Gardner has taken up golf, but if you ask ML Football over on Twitter, he should probably be focusing more on his day job. It says wild #Lions pass rusher Aiden Hutchinson has more career interceptions than Sauce Gardner. However, if you do enjoy some good golf content, I do suggest following Sauce right now, because he just picked up golf like 2 weeks ago, and he's on his quest to break 100. And it sounds kind of ridiculous that a professional athlete would be like on a quote unquote quest to break 100, just because I honestly, anytime I think of an athlete, I'll automatically assume that they're good at everything. But I think golf is a very humbling sport to just be like, hey, not everyone is good at this. Not everyone can be good at this, no matter how much you practice. So I think Sauce is finding that out. And regardless, it looks like he's having fun. Wouldn't suggest golfing in the rain like he did in one of his Twitter posts, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, it's going to be cool to follow him on his journey. Bryson DeChambeau has already reached out to give him lessons, so must be nice to be a professional athlete and get lessons from Bryson just to make content. So Bryson, if you're watching this, I would love, and we can make as much content as you want, giving turbo golf lessons. I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Here's a cool stat about Ronald Acuna Jr. This is from Baseball History Nut again. 2023, Ronald Acuna Jr. and Ty Cobb in 1911 are the only players in MLB history to have 75 plus extra base hits and 60 plus stolen bases in the same season. He goes on to say both Acuna Jr. and Cobb were born on December 18th, 111 years apart, 1886 and 1997. Just to go to show you, not only was how rare the 40-70 feat was, but kind of puts everything into perspective. That we're talking about extra base hits and stolen bases, and there's only two guys that have done that feat, which I think is really, really cool. And like I said, puts it into perspective, and definitely deserve that MVP. Here's another one here real quick before we jump into our schedule, our next item of business. This is again from Baseball History Nut. Congrats to Bo Jackson on being inducted into the Kansas City Royals Hall of Fame. There won't be another athlete like Bo. And this is something that 2Ks and I have gone back and forth about. I do believe that Bo Jackson is the best athlete I have ever seen. So I think it just remembering him in that campaign, Bo knows golf, Bo knows ping pong, Bo knows this, Bo knows that. And I think every kid growing up had the iconic score football or baseball card with him, with the baseball bat across the shoulder pads. Still one of the more iconic sports cards in history. Massively overprinted, but still iconic. I did not put let's touch on the drafts here. Like I said, we had two French kids go first and second in the NBA draft. The Rockets chose Reed Shepherd, which was the first American from Kentucky, And then the Spurs drafted Stephen Castle. The Pistons drafted Ron Holland, not Ron Howard. That'd be hilarious. But would be a total Pistons thing to do. Ron Holland the second, from the G League. So again, Zach Edey goes to the Grizzlies. We kind of touched on this going into and during March Madness, that this wasn't going to be a draft where you were going to see like a Zion or like a Wemby from last year. Yes, I know the French connection is still very, very deep in the NBA, but this was not a very deep draft at all. I mean, maybe it is deep. There just isn't standout players, which I think is either this draft is going to go down as kind of one of the biggest wastes of time, or we're going to see the most role players ever drafted in a draft. I mean, I said it many times before. I even blogged about it, talking about how Pistons fans should not be mad that they missed out on the number 1 overall pick this year. If you're a Pistons fan and you're really mad, you should have been pissed about last year, because that was the year to get this generation's quote unquote LeBron James, if you will. And now, yes, I know LeBron and Wemby are two very different players, but just generational talent is what I'm trying to say. That I really don't see any generational talent in this draft. So it is what it is. Take it for what you will. Pistons fired and hired a new coach as well. So the thing about the Pistons is that they have way more talent than what their wins and losses even account for. I do not understand. I mean, maybe we get Ivy's mom from Notre Dame to come coach the Pistons. That would maybe rile the boys up a little bit. But she's had far more success at Notre Dame than any head coach for the Pistons have in the past decade. The Pistons weren't relevant. The last time the Pistons were relevant, I was in college. And sadly, side note, when I was in college and they were making their run, the Bad Boys, wasn't even the Bad Boys, but talking to a lot of the college kids there, it's like, all right, well, who is your favorite bad boy? And they're like, what are you talking about? We're diehard Pistons fans. And it's like, no, that's what made that was the foundation of the Pistons. We're the Bad Boys. That was, John Sally, that, Isaiah Thomas, that crew. And just goes to show you that's neither here nor there, but it was just something I thought I should bring up for just an aside, if you will. But yeah, there really wasn't a standout pick in the NBA. There wasn't. And let's go over to the NHL. Like I said, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on these drafts because I have no idea who any of these kids are in the NHL draft. But there was a kid from Michigan State get drafted number 2 overall to the Blackhawks, which I think was kind of cool. And let's cruise on down here. And the Red Wings take a kid from Sweden. Michael, not even going to try it. Not even going to try it, Michael. But yeah, kudos to everyone that got drafted by their team in the NHL. Again, if you're looking for us for your NHL information, you might want to look elsewhere because we do not talk about the NHL that often. Maybe a little bit during the playoffs, but even if you saw the photos of the Panthers parade today or yesterday, whenever it was not highly attended. Granted, it was raining, but we've seen other teams and other sports when the weather is even worse and it's just packed out. So step your game up, Florida, especially if your Panthers are going to be, which that Panthers team looked good, even though they kind of almost gave it away. But yeah, that Edmonton team was very, very resilient almost coming back from a 0-3 deficit, almost pulling a Red Sox on that ass. But yeah, that's kind of the draft review, I guess. I think the NBA free agency is gonna be a little bit more interesting just because we have seen some big names kind of fly out or in or however you want to consider it. But like I said, the free agency started, or the window started at 6 p.m. today. However, we're going to go back in time a few days ago when there were some moves made, even though they weren't made official until today. So let's cruise back here. Keep cruising. Hold on here. Yep. Like I said, the Pistons hired JB Bickerstaff as the franchise's next head coach. Bickerstaff comes to Detroit after 5 seasons from the Cavs, including 2 straight postseason appearances. So hopefully he has the keys to get that Pistons team up and running. Because like I said, there's just too much talent there. There's just too much talent. But let's go back to yesterday. All right. Yeah, yesterday, the 29th. I think the big news here was that Paul George declined his $48.7 million option with the Clippers. He will be taking meetings with said Clippers, but the Magic and 76ers during his free agency meetings will begin Sunday night after free agency opens and Monday. So Paul George will be busy today and tomorrow. Even though it came out that the Clippers wanted to retain George, but knew there were advantages of staying out of the second apron. That must have something to do with the pay and stuff. And we saw the big trade the other day. Still didn't really understand why all of that for that guy, but let's see here. Well, let's cruise back up to today because, like I said, there were some moves, there were some shakes. Started out today around noon. This was 12:38 a.m. Patrick Williams has agreed to return to the Bulls, 5 years, $90 million. LeBron James has told the Los Angeles Lakers that he would accept a pay cut if they can find an impact player with their mid-level exception. Yeah, man, reading's hard. Which is roughly $13 million per Woj. Let's see here. The Chicago Bulls are struggling to offload Zach LaVine. There's no market trying to give it, but they're trying to give him away and attach a first-round pick. Zach LaVine has been told by multiple people, and it's not happening. Obi Toppin intends to sign a 4-year deal to stay with the Pacers. Let's see here. Restricted free agent Max Christie intends to sign a 4-year, $32 million deal to stay with the Lakers. It seems like a lot of dudes are staying with the Lakers. And I don't know if I'm LeBron, if I'm a huge fan of that or what, because that team didn't really get it done last year. And if you're bringing all these guys back, then it seems kind of odd to. I mean, granted, a lot of these are player options, so they have the ball is in their court if you want to consider it that way. But let's go to 5:43 p.m. The Golden State Warriors are waiving veteran point guard Chris Paul, whose $30 million salary for this upcoming season would have become guaranteed if he was on the roster past today. So Chris Paul is a free agent. James Harden is planning to return to the Clippers on a 2-year, $70 million deal. Kind of the big one here, Klay Thompson plans to have discussions with the Dallas Mavericks, Los Angeles Lakers, LA Clippers, and Philadelphia 76ers in the opening hours of free agency. Obviously, Thompson spent his entire 13-year NBA career with the Golden State Warriors. Kevin Love is returning to the Miami Heat. I didn't know Kevin Love was still in the NBA until I was listening to a Pardon My Take episode the other day. But he is planning on returning to the Heat. Let's see. Former Chicago Bulls center Andre Drummond is heading to the Philadelphia 76ers on a 2-year, $10 million deal. Drummond averaged 18.9 rebounds per 36 minutes for the Bulls last season. And lastly, and this is on ESPN, so it's reloading as we're speaking, 7:20, the New York Knicks view the Oklahoma City Thunder as Isaiah Hartenson's most likely destination in free agency. So that is your up-to-the-minute NBA free agency chat. Obviously the finals are complete, the draft's complete. Now we're starting to see kind of the last pieces here move and shake going into this next part of the off season. So it's going to be exciting to see kind of where that lands. But let's talk some more about LeBron and Bronny. Like I said, obviously that was the talk of the draft. Let's be honest. You could bet that, on any betting platform, you could bet whether he was taken in the first round, taken in the second round, or went undrafted. But if you listen to Pat McAfee's show, Shams came on there and said that Bronny's agent was actively telling folks, if it got to, don't draft him. Don't draft him. Don't draft him. If you do, he's not going to your team. He's going to be playing in Australia, not even in Europe, in Australia. So if you want to waste your pick, that's fine. Go ahead and waste your pick. He's going elsewhere. Excuse me. He's not even going over the Atlantic. He's going over the Atlantic and over a whole bunch of other shit. To get away from your team if you draft him. So the writing was basically on the wall here. The writing was basically on the wall that that Bronny was going to was going to be drafted by the Lakers. I mean, this was he only had a tryout or even a workout with the Suns was the other team other than the Lakers. But yes, this has caused kind of some controversy, if you will, some conundrum, if you will, to say that, how much does LeBron control the NBA? I think he honestly controls a lot of it, and rightfully so. Whether if you love LeBron or hate LeBron, it's just something that is going to, and kind of going back to Kobe and kind of going back to Jordan, you either loved him or hated him. They are the main getters. They are the main draw. They not so much anymore, in LeBron's more aged career here, but what he's done and what he's accomplished has kind of given him the leeway to be like, yes, I want that dude on this team. I don't care what it takes to get him here, because even though this is Anthony Davis's team, or should be Anthony Davis's team, let's be perfectly honest, LeBron still holds the trump card in that whole organization. And there were some tweets about it, whether you agree with it, whether you don't agree with it, but this is the first one, and it's kind of hard to read. This is actually from Magic Johnson. Congrats on Bronny James on being drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers. This is a historic moment because LeBron and Bronny will be the first father-son duo to play in the NBA at the same time and on the same team. Watching Bronny suit up for the Lakers during the summer, and I obviously didn't include the whole tweet, but you kind of get the gist of it. And this one here is from Skip Bayless. Now, Skip and I have not seen eye to eye on 99% of things. I think I'm like most people that when Skip talks, most of the shit that comes out of his mouth, I'm just curious to see what he's going to say next, because a lot of it is completely outlandish, but I kind of have to agree with him on this one. I mean, I'm not giving him too much credit, but I do have to agree with this one. Again, at real Skip Bayless, LeBron James has earned the right to make what just happened happen. He will play professional basketball with his oldest son, who was born to play with his father. Bronny's game perfectly complements LeBron's. 3 and D, high IQ, low ego, shares dad's feel for the game, can't wait. Now, one aside from that I did want to kind of take a minute and I'm not going to say foreshadow or forecast, but just something to look forward to. Okay. Now, picture yourself as Bronny James. Okay. And I probably should have had this up before, but let's see. Bronny James. He's 19 years old. Okay. 19 years old. Picture yourself 19 years old, get drafted, and you're going to a new city. Okay. And yeah, you're going to be hanging out with obviously the elder statesman of the team, because I guarantee those players have played in whatever city. They have experienced pretty much everything that has to be experienced in the NBA or in and around the NBA. But think of that as your dad. Okay, we've all been 19. At 19, we all did some dumb shit. Now think about trying to do some of that dumb shit when your dad is following you around, when your dad is in your back pocket all the time. Now, flip the script, and if you're LeBron, yes, it's going to be cool to play with your son. I totally get that. Yes, it will be totally awesome to share the court with your son. That has been your goal this whole entire time. Now, off the court is kind of where I'm going with this, okay? It's always cool to hang out with your dad. I love hanging out with my dad. My dad's one of my best friends. But as far as like it now, I understand that most athletes nowadays don't go out, after a game and hit the bar like they used to. But in the event that when Bronny is of age, or if they go to Canada, maybe he wants to cut loose, or at least go have a couple beers with some of the younger guys on the team. I I think it'll be easier for Bronny, but on the other hand, if you're LeBron, how much, where's that parent teammate line? You know what I mean? Where's that parent teammate line? Now, if you kind of flash back to when Ken Griffey Sr. and Jr. played together, times were drastically different back then. So I really don't foresee anything, it would be easier back then than now, I think. But with, it's just a weird situation. Okay. And I'm not saying weird as in bad, just weird, just kind of weird. So I guess to kind of put a bow on it, I actually tweeted this. It says, "Don't be mad at LeBron because you can't get your son on at FedEx with you." So yes, LeBron got his son a job, and you're mad because you can't get your son a job. So I thought it was funny. It's not to be taken personally, but thought it was a good time for a joke, so I threw it in there. But yeah, that's all anyone could talk about is like, okay, check number one for the NBA draft. Where is Bronny going? Will there be a team to hold him hostage? It was the Suns worked him out because they thought, well, maybe if we get Bronny over here, LeBron had already opted out of his contract, so maybe we can lure him in over here, and maybe he can help us get to where we want to go. But then the agent came out and said, nope, if anyone but the Lakers draft Bronny, he's going to Australia, the other side of the world, to play. So the next storyline was, okay, the French guys are going to take over the draft. I was honestly kind of shocked to see that the kid from Kentucky got drafted prior to all of the studs from UConn, because it was kind of like that was the storyline. It's like the French guys and the UConn guys are going to run this draft, and essentially that's what it really panned out to be. So That's the free agency and the draft, and drafts, plural, kind of in a nutshell. And again, thank you guys and gals for watching us wherever you are. And let's jump into some baseball updates here. Since the last time we talked, last week we were talking about how great the Red Sox were playing. And for those of you that are new, yes, I do live in Michigan. Yes, I am a Red Sox fan. And yes, I've been a Red Sox fan way longer than they've been winning World Series. I've been through the good. I've been through the very bad. And this is kind of right now we're stuck in the mediocre, if you will. 2Ks is a big Tigers fan. I might throw them. We're going to throw the Tigers under the bus, ladies and gents. We are. I'm just going to tell you that right out front. But yeah, that's the Red Sox and the Royals have been kind of flip-flopping in and out of that final wild card spot in the American League. But let's get into some of these tweets here real quick because like I said, we're gonna throw the Tigers under the bus. This is from Iffy the Dopester over on Twitter. The Tigers are a disaster right now. This is not a rebuild. It's just a bad club continuing to be lousy. And I'm normally more of a glass half full kind of guy. Okay, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. There's something going on in Detroit. Maybe the Tigers and the Pistons had to suck for so many years for the Lions to finally be good. Maybe that's the mojo we're getting out of Detroit. I don't know. But and Lions fans, you can attest to this as well as anybody else. You guys and gals have been through the ringer way more than Tigers fans have been, way more than Pistons fans have been. So they probably don't want to hear you bitching about it. But it's kind of true. It's kind of true. And to kind of parallel that, this is from Jed over at Tigers UK over on Twitter. The initial tweet was from the official MLB account. The Orioles' 60th homer of June is a slam, and they have hit one today, so which means it's at least 61. And the Tigers have hit 73 all season. So the Orioles have almost hit as many homers in the month of June than the Tigers have the entire season. Let that sink in. Let that sink in, because that my friends is, I mean, granted, I'm taking nothing away from the Orioles. The Orioles are a fantastic baseball team. I am a huge fan of Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, that whole team. But wow, is it getting crazy, especially in Detroit, because it was termed a rebuild. And this rebuild has kind of gotten out of control to where we're, and especially in a division that, like, you can't even really say that anymore, because let me get to the right screen here. Let's go to the standings. Okay, the Orioles have 53 wins. Let's see, there's 639. Yeah, so they're just a tad. Yeah. Yeah, it was, for a second there, the Guardians had the best record in baseball, ladies and gentlemen. The best record, not in the American League. Not in the American League Central, which they do. They do still have the best record in the AL Central. They do. But they had the best record for a couple days in baseball. In the entire league, out of 30 teams, they had the best record. Now, like I said, they have 52 wins. The Orioles have 53. So it's not as if they've fallen off or, something crazy. Excuse me. But this team's for real. This team's for real. And in a division where I think a lot of us wrote off a bunch, all the teams especially in the American League Central, and even in the National League Central, But let's take a peek see. Let's take a peek see here. Like I said, the guards are 52 and 30 with a run differential of 98. The Twins are 10 games above 500 at 47 and 37. They are 6 games back of the Guardians, and they have a run differential of plus 41. The Royals are 47 and 39, 7 games back of the Guards, and they have a plus 55 run differential. And then it drops off considerably to said Tigers, but the Tigers are still 15 games ahead of the Chicago White Sox, who might be there's no might to it. They are the worst team in baseball. So we have 3 teams at least 8 games over 500 in the American League Central. I would have never thought that, and that never crossed my mind. Now let's flip the switch to the National League Central. The Brewers are leading the division 50 and 37 with a run differential of 75, plus 75. The Cardinals are the only other team in that division with a winning record. They're 43 and 40 and have a run differential of minus 40. They're 3 games over 500 with a run differential of minus 40. However, they are the hottest team in the division, going 7 and 3 in their last 10. What really stinks is that the Brewers are 6 and 4 in their last 10. So not gaining much ground, even though they're playing way better baseball than I think all of us thought they were. Haven't really seen Goldschmidt and Arenado show up at all this year. So to have that team going the way they're going is rather impressive. So now that we've got the Centrals out of the way, let's see here. The American League East, all but one team is at 500 or better. The Blue Jays are 38 and 45. The Rays are 42 and 42. Red Sox are 44 and 39. The Yankees and Orioles are going to flip-flop pretty much all season as to who has the best record, not only in baseball, but in that division. The AL West has 2 teams over 500, with the Astros being 1 game over 500. Another interesting stat here is the Mariners lead that division by 3.5 games with a record of 47 and 39 and have a run differential of plus 6. Plus 6. Far fewer a far worse run differential of any division leading team by far. Let's see here. The Orioles have a plus 121. Let's throw the Yankees in there as well. They're plus 102. The Guards are plus 98. Like I said, the Mariners are plus 6. The Phillies are plus 121. The Brewers are plus 75, and the Dodgers are plus 119. So to be sitting where they are at 37 and 39, with a run differential of plus 6. Now, what's crazy about these Mariners, ladies and gentlemen, is they have some young pitching that is pitching their asses off. They are fun to watch, and Julio Rodriguez kind of gets most of the notoriety there, gets most of the pub, but just because of how he plays the game. But when it comes to this team, it is nowhere without this pitching staff. It is absolutely nowhere, obviously, because they're not scoring a bunch of runs. They're not scoring a bunch of runs at all. But now that we've bagged on the Tigers here, and like I said, we are watching the Rangers and Orioles play right now, and the Rangers have just decided to put it on the Orioles. I think it's currently 8-2 or something like that. So definitely not the game I was expecting on Sunday Night Baseball. I did want to wish Gunnar Henderson a big, happy 23rd birthday. He is on pace for one of the greatest seasons by a shortstop in Major League history at age 23, ladies and gentlemen. age 23. What were you doing at 23? Again, going back to our what was I doing at age 19? Continuing to do dumb shit, I'm sure, at 23. Probably not as dumb. Well, probably just as dumb because that was college years for sure. College years. Well, let's look at some other nuggets here. Speaking of nuggets, this is from Jay Hay over at the Baseball is Dead podcast. Again, if you do not follow him on Twitter, you are missing out on some of the best statistical analysis on Twitter. He says that Ranger Suarez has a 1.83 ERA, is trying to become the first Phillies pitcher since Steve Carlton in 1980 to have an ERA below 2 through his first 17 starts of a season. Now, with that being said, I think I'm not going to say we're looking at the NL Cy Young Award winner. I mean, one would think that he would be leading most all of let's pull up the stats here. Stats, there we go. Let's go pitching. Okay, let's just do National League. Okay. Ranger Suarez leads the NL in wins with 10, tied with Chris Sale. He has the aforementioned 1.83 ERA. The next closest is Christopher Sanchez for the Phillies at 2.41. Zach Wheeler with 2.73. Gavin Stone 2.73, and Chris Sale 2.79. He obviously has nothing to do with saves, is not in the top 5 in strikeouts, and I don't give a shit about quality starts. He's tied for 4th with quality starts with Tyler Glass now. So yeah, basically, let's see where he's at on the strikeout list here. He is currently tied for 20th with Aaron Nola, Mackenzie Gore, Corbin Burns, Luis Gill. So in the aforementioned Mackenzie Gore just got optioned down to AAA. Not having the definitely not having the season he was hoping for, especially after his performance last year. But yeah, that you're possibly looking at, he should be a slam dunk for the NL Cy Young Award, right? Well, let's take a look at this. This is from and I is it Codify? I'm pretty sure it's Codify. Paul Skeens has 9 games. Let's see here. Paul Skeens has started 9 games for the Pittsburgh Pirates and has not left the game with his team trailing in any of them. Is that good? I would say that's pretty good. I would say that's definitely pretty good. The next one here, let's see. And yes, huge Paul Skeens podcast here, ladies and gentlemen. And I if you have not seen him pitch, are you living under a rock? Because this guy is must see TV every time he's on the mound. Yep, this is the one. Again, this is from at Codify Baseball. Every pitcher in the history to strike out 70 batters in the first 9 games of their MLB career while not allowing more than a dozen runs. 1. Paul Skeens. That's it. That's the list. That is extremely impressive. And like I said, you would think that the National League Cy Young would just be wrapped up. I mean, we've got Ranger Suarez pitching out of his ass, but we've also got Paul Skeens. Granted, not as many starts. Yeah, spent the first month and change in AAA. But yeah, I am going to throw this one up. Unnecessary dick riding 15 yards because yes, we have slobbed the knob of Paul Skeens. Probably, I'm going to say equally as most podcasts, right? It's not like we're overly doing it. I have a feeling a Pittsburgh-based podcast would be slobbing it way more than we have. But yes, hand up. I'm guilty of dick riding this guy. I am. But you know what? I'm okay with it because he's just that good. I can in the comparisons to Steven Strasburg are immense. Yes, I get it, but even Strasburg had a more dynamic first start, but the rest of the season wasn't nearly as good as what Paul Skeens is doing. So, and you're not going to find Paul Skeens on a lot of these lists that I just read off because of the fact that he missed the first month. Now, my question is, questions, I guess I should say, can Ranger Suarez keep up this pace? He's on a very good team. I have a feeling the wins are still going to be there. And can Paul Skeens keep this up? And I don't know if you've watched Paul Skeens. Like I said, if you haven't watched Paul Skeens play, you need to. Because like I said, this guy is must-watch TV. And how he can throw 103 miles an hour as effortlessly as he does is completely beyond me. So again, I have no idea how he does it, but he does it. And yes, we're dick riding once again. We are dick riding once again. But and yes, I cannot wait to use that once 2K gets back in here. It's gonna be awesome. And that's pretty much the whole reason I got it. Now, by then, hopefully the graphic will be a whole lot cooler, and maybe like a whistle or something that we can do. Yeah. Already been thinking about it. Cannot wait to use it once 2K gets back in here. But yeah, this is it's just amazing. It's just amazing. And you know, I've been talking a lot about the trade deadline. Now, this is a guy that I think I haven't even really thought about it, because if the White Sox move this kid, they would be insane. And again, this comes from Nugget Chef himself at JHeyKid over on Twitter. Garrett Crochet has a 1.36 ERA over his last 10 starts. The White Sox lefty to have to the last White Sox lefty to have a lower ERA than that over an 11 start stretch is Tommy John himself in 1971, 1.29. So I actually replied to this tweet and said, yes, but how much longer is he going to be there? Because that's the real question. We talked about, they're actively shopping Luis Robert. Now, yet, would it take a ton to get this kid, to pry this kid out of Chicago? Absolutely. And rightfully so. Rightfully so, because he is that good. He take what Luis Robert has done, that's fine. But this kid has been the only shining spot in this whole organization at the top. So would the White Sox entertain an offer that would move Garrett Crochet? Now, to kind of add a little bow on that, let's see here, complete leaders. Garrett Crochet leads all of baseball and in strikeouts at 141. And let's see, I screwed up with the Ranger Suarez. In the National League, Ranger Suarez is tied for 9th with strikeouts. He's tied for 20th in baseball. So all of baseball here. Yep. Garrett Crochet leads the way with 141. The next closest is Tyler Glasnow, 136. An ex-teammate is in 4th with Dylan Cease with 126. So, and oddly enough, gentleman sitting here at 7, Jack Flaherty, having a huge bounce back season. In one of the few, and then let's see. Jack Flaherty's at 7, Tyree Schools at 9 with 112 and 118 respectively. So it's definitely not the Tigers pitching staff that's been sucking. It's been the hitting part that's been shitty. So, and it's not letting me cruise down, but that's okay. So, but yeah, that's I have the package that the Padres put together to pry Dylan Cease out of there was immense. I don't foresee a team during the season putting together a package even better, because in my opinion it would have to be better than the Dylan Cease package to get Garrett Crochet out of Chicago. Why? Because A, he's got more controllable years. Two, as we've showed here, has better stats than Dylan Cease. So is he a better player? I I honestly think so. And that would be a huge addition to any pitching staff if they were able to pull that trade off. So, but like I said, I have a very good feeling that that is, if it does happen, it will be a after the season type deal. So, but I've been wrong before. I've been wrong before. What's this one here? Oh, I forgot to put this in the news here. This is from NFL Rumors, and it's not only a rumor. This was also tweeted by many other accounts. Former Raiders quarterback Jamarcus Russell out as high school football coach, accused of stealing donations to the school. So not a good look here. Not a good look at all for Jamarcus. Again, just one of those. You got to get out of your own way. You know, this is and we if I remember the tweet correctly, it was like $45,000 or more. So it's definitely not like a $500 check. You know, this was a very sizable amount, one that obviously can be tracked. So kind of silly to even entertain that. So it is what it is. Very sad state of affairs. Just kind of seeing not only a talent like that just crumble, but a person as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, obviously, no top 5 this week with 2K's out. I have got confirmation he will be back in that seat right over there next week. So, cannot wait to see that. I guarantee we'll bring both the noise and the funk for you, as we always do. But until then, everyone enjoy your week. Hope everyone was able to get outside and get something done, or to enjoy your Saturday here locally, especially. So everyone have a great week. We will see you next week. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.